All right, Mickey Six with Raul Lopez from LNR Studios. He's famous for recording lots of local metal bands, including most recently Skullpin.
Yep.
So he's this month's feature for Behind the Scenes. May I please present Raul Lopez. That would be applause. So Raul, how did you get into recording? It seems like an odd thing to pick as far as being a musician or a performer, as opposed to doing this. How did you get into this line of work?
Well, actually, I started out doing music since third grade, all that kind of fun stuff, saxophone, all that good stuff.
Nice.
Then ended up becoming a vocalist out of high school. Really got into vocals. Was in a couple bands. Then finally, my love for music just kept me going and wanting to go ahead and start a recording studio and actually going to school for it up at the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences up in Phoenix.
Nice.
So,
what bands were you in? Are they local like metal bands or punk bands or like?
Thrash metal bands like in California. Because I'm originally from California.
All right.
The first band the main band I was in out there was called Monalter.
Nice.
We did a couple of how could I put it? I guess not really shows, but events where we played in front of a few thousand people.
Nice.
That's how we started getting our recognition and getting looked at by Metal Blade Records.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
So going that far in your musical career, how was it to transfer over to recording? Was it something that came natural, or was it accidental?
Actually, I the more I went in the studio, of course, to record albums and things like that, I started paying attention to more and more what the engineer was doing. I was fortunate enough to meet up with a few engineers in California that really wanted to, they answer questions. They weren't the type of engineers like, just sit back, relax, I'll handle it. They explained to me what they did, why they did it. So it really started capturing my interest into, the whole world of engineering.
Really good. So is Tucson your first recording experience, or have you recorded in California also?
Well, personally, for recording bands, Tucson is the first recording studio that I've actually, started and have done myself. But I had an intern from the school, so I had to go to California, and I interned in a studio out there and recorded actually a signed band called Better Left Unsaid. They're signed at the time to Stillborn Records, which is Jimmy Josta's record label.
Jimmy Josta from
Hatebreed.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to record them on my internship. I also got a chance to record James DeBarge from the band El DeBarge, the R&B hip hop group back in the day.
Yeah, it's old school.
Yeah.
That's a pretty impressive resume so far. So who have you done local? I know just most recently you've done Skullpin.
Right.
You've done Solithic. You've done
PhD.
PhD. Who else have you done?
Jeez. Skullpin, Solithic, PhD. Esoteric. Did Esoteric. And I've done one other band. I can't remember the name right now.
That's good for marketing. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you predominantly do metal? You do whatever comes your way?
This is whatever comes my way. I don't want to stay stuck to one genre.
Right.
Because as a true engineer, I think that you should be able to understand, grasp, and be able to accommodate your customers, whether they're genres, metal, blues, jazz,
right,
whatnot. So I try and keep it open.
That's cool. But most of your clients are metal, though. As of right now. That's cool. Did you plan that? That is sort of. So I'm assuming you're into metal also, so you had a few shows and stuff. So
yeah.
Was it planned to, when you got into engineering, to kind of, I won't say cater, but more lean towards, like, your experience was predominantly metal, but then you had like El DeBarge doing their thing, which I would assume was 100% different than doing like the 8 tracks, whatever a metal band would do.
Right.
So, I guess what I'm trying to say is you're more comfortable doing metal than you are any other of genre, as opposed to rap or blues or any of that other stuff, country even. Honestly,
I'm not really comfortable with with any particular genre. I think that I'm pretty fluent in all of them. Not because just besides the metal guys that I've done, I've actually done a country album when I used to work at Matlin Recording Studios here locally. I did worked on a country album
Nice.
I also worked on a country rock
Wow.
album, and actually, still out of my studio, I did a guy named Young Trey, who's a rap artist locally. And so it's interesting because it's here you are with multi-track instruments. Sometimes I have up to 8 guitar tracks if you want.
Yeah.
And you have multiple layers of vocals. What I find interesting with R&B and rap is you almost have the same kind of thing going on because I'll get a stereo track of their music. It's just left and right stereo, but they want so many layers, ad libs, adverbs. They want just different types of backgrounds to their vocals and things like that. That I've actually had a vocal track, just up to about 16 tracks of vocals.
Just one guy?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's cool. So what do you like doing the most out of all the genres of music? Which one do you like to do? Which is the most fun? It's not like, which one is like makes you giddy to remind you why you got into this?
I'd probably be back to my metal roots,
Nice.
just because it's, I feel that, I understand, and mesh a little bit better with metal, but because my vocalist background, I do rap equally as well and look forward to it also.
That's cool. So you mentioned you used to record out of the Rock.
Yeah.
At one point, but now you're here. What was the deal with the Rock? Is it something that was it for the space thing? Like, so you had more room and you had the giant soundboard and all that?
The way I did it at the Rock was Kent, the owner, was nice enough to allow me to use the Rock to record bands. That's where actually the Prolific album was done at.
Yeah.
I chose the Rock because of the acoustics of the building.
Oh,
Phenomenal sound for for anything you want to record their drums because it's big and airy.
yeah.
For guitars, bass, vocals, and whatnot. But yeah, so Prolific was done there with with Kent's approval.
Right on.
I've done also a couple of live shows there at the Rock where I've recorded bands. But I got there because of actually Gary Mann from Desert Moon Sounds, who who helped me out and getting the door, the foot in the door with Kent.
Right.
And but yeah, so that's the main reason why I chose the Rock was for the acoustics. But luckily, with Oliver over here at Pitball, actually have a more centralized place to go ahead and do recordings, and of course with a little more not sound friendly, but more atmospherically, wanting for for the drums and for vocals. It's more controlled environment, which makes it really nice.
That's cool. So when you're here with Pitball Records now, do you record exclusively Pitball bands, or are you still have the open door to where all bands can come and record with you here?
It's an open door. Me and Oliver, he allowed me to be a co-producer on his latest compilation, which I'm thankful for. I forgot what he titled it. He called it
Sorry.
Southern Arizona compilation number 2, I think. Southern Arizona bands.
Oh, okay.
Compilation 2. But yeah, he we worked together on that. And did I think we did a really bang up job. He did the mixing and things like that. I just kind of helped with setting up the microphones and things like that.
So as your title as a recorder producer, right? Is that right? Producer also?
Yeah, well, it's funny when it comes to rappers, they call me their producer. When it comes to bands, they call me their engineer. But because 9 times out of 10, you can't just sit back and go, okay, this is how a guitar should sound. This is how a drum should sound. This is how a vocal should sound. And you hear things, and so sometimes I'll kind of throw in my 2 cents, like, hey, I think this effect would sound really great in the intro or in the middle, blah, blah, blah. So in essence, you kind of become a producer.
Right.
Because you can't just sit there and somebody asks you, oh, what do you think of this? It's like, well, as an engineer, I can't really say what I think about it because I don't have an opinion. But, as a producer, it's like, okay, well, taking on that producer role, you kind of have to...
Right. Give your 2 cents.
Yeah.
Do you mix also? Is that part of your job description? So you record and mix.
Yeah.
That's cool. So for the people out there reading or watching, what is something, an hourly rate, if that's okay to talk about on air or whatever? I guess I shouldn't say whatever. We're still getting the live things out. Would a band, say if they wanted to come and do maybe a 3-song demo or something of that?
3-song demos, I usually charge $300. That's going to be a mix. Well, editing, mixing, the recording time, and I don't like to call it a master because I don't do like professional mastering. But it is it's a sound booster, and it also tags your music. So if you put an MP3 player, MP3 player, it'll say the band name, the song title, when it was recorded, things like that. So I mean, and I just don't like to put the title mastering because I didn't go to school for mastering engineering.
Right.
I went to school for recording engineering and mixing.
That makes sense. You hear that? Unsigned bands that are looking for a demo, come talk to this guy. We'll have his info at the end of the interview. So, if we want to get a hold of you, do you have a Facebook or a webpage or?
I have a website. It's lrstudiosllc.com, and then I'm on Facebook, just LR Studios. Look it up that way. And then I think I'm on LinkedIn too, or whatever.
LinkedIn or something.
Yeah, LinkedIn.
Yeah. Do you have any further plans to pursue a musical career at all, or musical interests?
Yes and no. Right now I'm gonna, still do music. Can't pass up music, and always gonna enjoy it. Yeah. Right now I have a little side project going on, but nothing too crazy yet. Don't expect anything anytime soon coming out.
No CDs coming out yet.
Yeah.
Right on. So who's you don't have to ask this, but who's your more favorite band to work with as far as local bands you worked with so far?
Oh gosh.
So let's put the bus out here, guys.
It's gonna be a toss up. I'm kind of biased. I like working with Slithic a lot because they're young and aggressive, and really want to make a mark in the scene.
Yeah.
But then I'm also torn with Skull Pin and another band called Tribulence because they're both older. They're all older musicians with the musicianship and the years behind them that make their music really powerful. Yeah. So it's really tough. It's like, okay, so do you want the seasoned veterans, or it's like, do you want the young blood that wants to go out there and leave their mark and do what they got to do.
I say it's a draw. Or they're both still your friends. Or they're still your friends at the end of the interview. That's great, man. So what's next for LR Studios? So you're working with Pitbull Records right now, and that seems pretty steady and current. Is there more? I don't want to say this wrong because it'll sound bad if it comes out wrong. What are your future plans? Do you plan on going on your own, like completely on your own at any time? Like maybe opening your own studio in your own place, your own building, so to speak, or maybe opening your own label or anything like that?
As far as label stuff, I'll leave that to Oliver because he's pretty good at that kind of stuff. Yeah. He seems to treat the bands fair and knows what's best for them and helps them out the best he can. I just think it's too much for me right now to be dealing with
business and stuff.
That much business. As far as another studio or whatnot, I mean, I wouldn't mind having something to call my own. Yeah. But unfortunately, everything costs money. You know what I mean?
I do.
To build a studio, a decent studio with the acoustics and the equipment and everything that goes in it, you're looking probably about being realistic, about $30,000.
Whoa.
So like I said, so it's not gonna be anytime soon, but I like to put money aside, save up, and eventually,
do it right.
Yeah, do it right, and have something to call my own.
That's cool. Oh, okay, I get one. All right. As far as you have drums here and instruments here and everything. When a band comes, do the instruments? Is that part of the deal that they can use these instruments? Or do you prefer them to bring their own amps? I mean, I would assume they want to bring their own guitars for the sound and their own amps and stuff, but is it customary for them to use the in-house equipment?
They can if they want. It's really up to personal preference. Okay. For me, it doesn't make things any easier or harder. If they feel comfortable with their placement and their equipment, more power to you. Go ahead and bring it in. We don't try to limit anybody. It's more about the customer's comfort. As far as that goes.
What if they break something? That'd be my biggest concern. Like, what do they snap? Like an amp or something, they blow up the amp, or maybe drop the guitar or something. Oh my goodness.
That wouldn't be good. Well, that's why there's like with any business, gotta have a contract. So anything that's broken or anything that's their guest breaks or they break, unfortunately has to be replaced by them.
That's cool.
But
yeah, that's good. This is a neat setup. I mean, you couldn't tell. It's really nice in here. I always liked the isolation. Back in the old days, I was in a drum room, much like that. Whereas all by myself, I couldn't hear anything out there. Everyone was partying like, Romy.
Waving him over here.
Come on, guys, don't forget me. So how long have you and Oliver been associates?
I think I've known Oliver, I think probably about 2 years, but we haven't really been business associates, on a personal level.
Right.
Probably except for the past 7 months. So for about 7 months, we've been working pretty close together, and
Cool. Were you involved with the new CD that came out on Pitbull Records? I can't remember the name of it offhand. It's all over Facebook. Fly Donkey Punch, Amariz was on it. Several locals.
Yeah, that's that.
Oh, was that the
disc.
Okay?
Yeah,
that's cool. So you were part of that one. You helped record that one. That's cool. Amariz was on that. Did you record Amariz also?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Those are good guys.
Yeah. MR We Killed the Union.
FTP.
Yep.
They were loud, huh?
Yeah.
I love those guys. There's some great bands here locally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For underground, like with stuff I like, is some stuff's amazing. It's just like, wow, how come you guys are so good? And like I'm in the metal and the punk scene, so it's like, ooh, I got the best of both worlds.
Right.
All right, Seats with Underground. That was Raul Lopez. We want to thank him for having us in here tonight and talking with us. If you want to get a hold of him, you can get a hold of him on Facebook at
LR Studios, LLC.com.
And on Facebook at LR Studios Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, you know how to work Facebook. And you have cards that we can put.
Yeah, I got some cards.
Okay, we'll put some cards up on the website for you so you can have your number and stuff. Thank you, Raul. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Mickey. Appreciate it.
Our pleasure. And remember, it's Raul Lopez. He's with Pitbull Records and LNR Studios. Thank you.